night, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, it was a nice weekend that we were able to close the chapter out last night for our football team. It was a nice win for our kids, our coaches, a much needed one, and really nobody else in the country was giving us a shot to win that football game. That's the sweetest thing about it. I've really seen, and I've said this every week, and I continue to see it, an improvement from week 1 to week 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. And I still think, and that's why we coach it, there's still room for improvement. I don't think you're seeing a finished product yet. And I think that's a good thing. I think our schedule's been pretty firm as we've gone, and we need to keep our foot on the gas pedal this week, because I think it's awful important. That's who we got coming in here. Again, stuff that we need to clean up that really bother me. I think I talked about some of the positives that we did the other day. I think I did. I don't really remember, but we got to work on ball security again this week. I mean, ball security can get you beat really quick. Our 2 missed field goals that we cannot have. I'm going to go on record and say we probably won't miss a field goal the rest of the year, Larry. Okay, probably won't miss one the rest of the year. We'll get that fixed. And the punt return for a touchdown. And I talked last week with our kids about complacency. I sat right in here talking to them about, punt team, you were really good. Okay, Kirk has been as good. I guess in that 2 weeks ago game, as good as I've seen a punter punt here in Pitt. And I talked to him about complacency. You did it 1 week, can you do it again? And then we go out, and he was pretty good, but then it just takes one 58-yard punt with a 3.3 hang time to give that guy a chance to return it. We got a young gunner that comes down, doesn't turn it back in. We've got plenty of guys, but again, it's a complacency. You fix one thing 1 week, and then the next thing it's bad. A week ago against Penn State Rangers, our punt return team was bad. This week it's good. We make a play. So it's like 1 week you fix one thing, next week you got to fix it. So we got to be just consistent in what we do in really all 3 phases of the game. Delaware, coming in this week, again, great football team. Historic football team. They got those wing helmets that are so historic, and coached by Danny Rocco. Again, history with Delaware for me goes way back to the old Yankee conference. But I've coached against them. I've played in games against them, 3 of them. As a little ball boy against these guys back in 1979, Jerry. I think you were 22 years old in '79. But I was a ball boy for him. 1979, the only team we lost to at Youngstown State when my dad was the head coach was Delaware. Okay, so I tell our kids all the time, these games got to be personal. It's personal for me. I'll never forget 1979. I'll never forget getting beaten in Austin-Town Pitch Stadium. I'll never forget getting beaten in the national championship game down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Youngstown expected to win a championship. We didn't get it done. It was because of Delaware. So that was Tubby Raymond back in the day, and Scott Bruner, quarterback. So again, if I was this big, I can see that field. I can see the locker room after the game. It's personal. So they got a great football team. Danny Rocco, again, Pittsburgh native. So they'll come back. I think they probably got 20 guys on the team from Pittsburgh probably. I know there's 7 on the offense side of the ball, I believe, in the 2 deep. Bill Cuban is, their assistant head coach, who you can tell has a lot to do with their offense as far as what they're doing. Ambrose is obviously the offensive coordinator, but they do it as a team. And there's some similarities. The last time I played Cuban was, I think, 2013 when I was at Michigan State. He was in Illinois, played out of Illinois, and I see some of the same characteristics of what they do. So I think I'm familiar with it. I think Coach Bates is familiar with it, those are good things. And then Chris Kosh, who's been in the coaching profession for a long time as their defense coordinator, he's coached everywhere. So they got a very good coaching staff. They got really good players, and they will come in here ready to go. And it's my job to get our guys to come back after a big win and get another one. So, questions?
You guys went on a pretty gutsy play call on Saturday on 4th down. Was there any discussion in the week leading up to it on the Penn State game that maybe between you and Coach Whipple about if you want to be more aggressive in game situations later, or is it just something UCF showed?
Not really. Not really. I mean, we're always aggressive. It's like, it doesn't matter. We'll be aggressive this week against Delaware. Okay, it doesn't matter. Like we always go in, you know, always have a Thursday checklist of, you know, is it conservative? You know, it's weird, you know, again, it's typed up in our winners now, you know, game plan, conservative, gamble, and I always laugh, you know, and then we always have weather. Is the weather gonna be an issue? And it's always gamble. You know, every week I laugh, I kinda like, why do we have this conservative thing? And just throw that out. Why do we even look at it? But, you know, I don't feel like I'm ever gonna be conservative. You're gonna make best decisions for your football team. You know, I think, you know, again, go back to that Penn State game. I mean, the 4th and 1 that, you know, we're afraid what defense are gonna be in, and that's a gamble, especially where you are in that field. I mean, we don't get that one. You guys are screaming, going, you know, and then they score a touchdown on that drive. It's like you just lost the game, you know. But, you know, we're gambling all the time. Every play's a gamble. And when you say that play is a, you know, like a critical, I mean, they're all critical. I mean, if we watch tape together, you'd see that, you know, I grabbed them in the huddle and said, guys, you know, we're gonna go for it and you're gonna make it, and we gotta execute. Okay, it comes down to execution, but one guy doesn't do his job, it becomes an ugly play. It becomes a gamble. The gamble is only if you don't execute. So, you know, the play was the play. Had a nice name, the whole field, you know. You just wait for the, you know, you wait for the right time to call it against the right defense, and Coach Whipple did a heck of a job. Hat goes off to him. He made the call. I just listened to him and say, oh, I like it.
What do you think it is, Pat, that's hampered testing right now? Really out there on the field.
You know, I'm not gonna get into specific, what is he?
He's 3 of 8.
Field goals? I didn't even know that. You know, I just take one game at a time. I know he's 0 for 2 Saturday. We won't get into specifics, but you know, my guess is it'll get turned around. You know, maybe I should have, you know, done something earlier. I don't like to mess with kickers, guys. I've talked to 2 kickers on game day. Once at Clemson and once Saturday. I think you could probably add them up. I stay away from those guys. You know, only when they need it, and you know. So I don't know what I shouldn't say I don't know what it is. I know what it is. I won't discuss it, but I think it'll get fixed.
What'd you say to him after the second miss? Because
I said, if you do that again, I'm gonna kill you. No, you know, you can ask Cass. I said to him, I said, listen, don't worry about it, let it go, you're gonna kick the game winner. And I think he did. That's all I said to him. So.
without getting into specifics, but a lot of guys went down on Saturday. What's the overall health of your team?
You know, I think we're pretty good. I think we're pretty good right now. We may not have one guy, I don't know, you know, we may have them all. But, you know, we get banged up, but nothing bad, which is a good thing. So I feel good right now.
Yes, more specifically on that, Enoch and Mathis, I don't believe either of them were on the field for that final drive.
Which is a good thing, isn't it? I mentioned we had 27 players, I believe, play on defense. And you're playing a pretty darn good football team, as we all know. And, you know, the most impressive thing is we played guys and they stepped up and made plays. You know, Theron Coleman, again, my hat goes off to that guy. Marquez Williams. Those guys have been waiting and begging, whining, complaining, which they should. Like, when do I get my chance? But, you know, you look at those three corners, Pinnock, Mathis, and Dane Jackson, it's like, you know, what do you mean? You know, put this really good guy in player. I mean, you just kind of sometimes got to wait your turn, but you had your turn, and you went in there. You know, Marquez made a nice play on a bubble, you know, quick now, and chopped the guy down. I mean, they came in and did some stuff that you go, okay, good. You know, we can trust you. And sometimes you don't know. It's hard to trust someone until you give them a chance to go. And, you know, that's the hardest thing as coaches. You want to play your best players to win football games. So that was a good thing that those guys came in there. Now it makes us even that much more strong.
Do you expect Mathis and Enoch to play on Saturday?
Yes.
Pat, it seems to me that all levels of football seems to be, every year seems to be more injuries.
Why do you keep talking about injuries? I mean, that's one question, 2, 3. You know I'm not talking about, Jerry. You know I'm going to get after you.
I know, that's okay.
Okay, what do you got?
I can handle it. It seems like in all levels of football, there's a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Is the game changing now? Is the players too big, too fast?
Too big, too fast, too soft. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not like back in the old days, but you know, I don't know what it is. I think sometimes it's overuse. And when I say overuse, it's a constant. You know, when you're in 3rd grade, you know, you're playing 5 sports. You know, I don't know what it is, but it's. You know, everybody's got him in a camp here. He's going there. You mean, you know, these moms are driving them all over the place. I mean, you hear about it, but you know, I think there's a long-lasting effect on these kids. So, you know, who knows what it is? I'm not a trainer. I'm not a doctor, but I think a lot of times it's doing too much for so many years, it eventually wears you out. 7-on-7s during, 7-on-7s now compared to what they were 20 years ago, a lot more.
Pat, you were down 2 defensive linemen. It was a hot day. They ran it 34 times and averaged, I think, 2.5 yards per run. What does that say about your defensive front and kind of how they've elevated their play after those injuries?
Still wish we had Keyshawn Camper and Rashad Weaver. I keep saying that. You look at it every time. I look at it all the time. Going, God, what if we had those 2 guys? Because they're difference makers. But Coach Bates and Charlie Partridge, together have done a great job with the D line, and again, credit goes to those guys. It goes to our football players that are continuing learning. If you walk by that D line room over there, they're always in there watching tape and trying to figure out what that team's doing and how can I get better. We type notes in there for practice on the computer. The kids are sitting at home watching it on their iPads, just like you guys had your computers open and they're watching it and seeing their critique, and then they're coming the next day, watching it with the coach again and getting the same critique or more. So, it's called develop your players, your young players, and that's what we have to do. And, stuck in a jam there. The scary part was, that was a scary part. Your D-line's down, also your DBs are beat up, and putting new guys in here, and it's like, we're playing this team that's, snapping the ball in 8 seconds. You're like, oh boy, look upstairs and say a prayer.
Did you play 27 players on defense 4 years ago?
It's a long time ago, Jerry.
3 years ago?
I don't remember. I can't remember last year if we played 27. I don't know how many players we played against last year. I just know there was some guys in there, and then, add in Watson, Weaver into that, and you got more. It's just, we played 20, I want to say 25 on offense, 37 on special teams, if my numbers are correct.
How comfortable were you with, Patty had to play for a little bit? I mean, how do you think he did?
Obviously, he played really well. He made some plays. He got out of trouble. Made some plays with his feet. But it's one of those guys. I talked about Theron and Marquez. Same thing with Nick Patty on the other side of the ball. I'm fired up. He got to go in, and we had our plan of him going in and having a series as well already going into that game. So we wanted. When he did go in, it wasn't because I think the first time he went in, Kenny was still in with him, if you guys recall. But we had a couple things that we want to do with him, and we'll continue to maybe expand that package every week about what we can do with him, because he can run, and he's tough, and again he can throw the ball as well. He's got some. Again, he was our scout team quarterback a year ago, so I know what he's got. He's got his tail beat in, and he keeps coming back for more, so I know who he is. So it didn't surprise me, but you know what? On game day when the lights are on and it's a big time game, you never know what's going to happen. And he showed us what he's going to do when he gets in there. So just gives Coach Whipple, gives that offense staff and myself more confidence that if he's got to go in there, then we're good.
Pat, how familiar are you with Andre Robinson, Delaware's running back? He was a former Penn State guy, McDevitt guy.
Yeah.
I know he had offers, I think, from Michigan State and Pitt. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, I don't know where I was. I don't remember the name. Watched number 10 run around. He's a big physical back. He's a good football player, and someone that we've got to have our eyes on. But they got a few of them back there. The other guys to mention, number 33 here, DeJuan Lee and Will Knight, are 2 other guys that are really good backs, and the ones that transfer from Old Dominion as well. So they got guys that are on scholarship too. They're a good football team, and they're well coached and they're tough.
Twyman's currently 4th in the country in sacks.
Who is?
Twyman. What can you say about his continued growth?
He just keeps getting better. I talk about Jalen every week, but I don't care about the sacks. I don't care about what he did 4 games ago or 2 games. He got 0 sacks right now this week. Okay, so nobody cares, what we did last week or what we did the week before. Everybody cares about what we're going to do this Saturday at 12:30, and I want to see him get another sack. So we'll look at all those stats, and I have no clue where he was. Thanks for telling me. I don't care. But it doesn't matter. Where's he going to be at the end of the year? If he's number 1 or 4, that's good. If he's drops because he's looking, I hope he doesn't know that. That's why I hate these phones. These phones right here. I'm going to try to maybe tell our team I'm going to maybe see if I can buy them all flip phones. They can't even look at anything. Just flip phone. They can just call mom, call your girlfriend, but you can't go on the internet. You can't go on Twitter. It's a good thing.
Do you care, another stat you might care about, you're 2nd in the nation in passing, 180.
We're second in the nation in
Washington
passing
State.
attempts.
61
No wonder we're not running the ball very good, Jerry.
Is
You
that,
don't run it, you can't gain yards.
is that a stat you like or you prefer or less?
I don't care about stats. I care about W's, okay? W's, wins and losses. That's how you're graded, not graded about how you do it, how many times you blitz, how many times you play base, how many times you play quarters, how many times you play two. You know, it doesn't matter. It matters about how many times you win. And we wanna try to win. It doesn't matter what we have to do to win.
Are you surprised that you run that much this year? Did you come into the season thinking you throw that much?
You know, 2 games you're behind and you're trying to catch up, really 3 games in the fourth quarter you're behind. You know, I don't know if we were behind or not, but I mean, look at 3 games we've been behind. We were ahead last weekend, and then, you know, the fourth quarter, we find ourselves having to play catch up. So, you know, we talked about the opener where you're down and you're throwing it 19 times in the fourth quarter. So that doesn't surprise me any. And we like to throw the ball too. Kenny throws it pretty good, and the receivers are catching it pretty good right now. So, yeah, you do what you do to get first downs. And again, we're throwing the ball, it's still winning the time possession the last 2 weeks, and that's important. So time possession is key. If you're moving the sticks down the field, that's good. I still like to score more.
And they talked earlier about these to be personal, and that's some kind of personal bond. Is, as a coach, is this what you do with different games? I'm just curious, because with like some of those, I don't know if there's a connection to it, like you almost have to.
Well, I got little kid connection, you know, so it's personal for me. You know, maybe not personal for him, but you know, each one of us in some way got to find out, you know, what gets you going and who are you playing for. And to me, it has to be personal. Someone's coming in here next Saturday and wants to hit you in the mouth. It becomes personal real quick. Okay, if it's not personal going in, it's going to be personal after the first play. And to me, you got to have that mindset going in that it's personal. And you know, to me, there's always an extra flavor every week to a game, and it's a big game.
Pat Narduzzi takes Trey's spot at wide out. Behind him, it looks like it's, you know, Shockey and then Jared Wayne. What has Jared shown you to kind of earn a spot, or at least, you know,
To not earn a spot?
No, to earn a spot as an order backup essentially.
You know, Jared has been, you know, I think we talked about him back at camp out on the back patio there. Jared's done a great job. We wish we would have got him in more maybe Saturday. So, you know, Jared and Shockey, you know, both, you know, are doing a nice job. So just, you know, it's kind of in those big games, getting them in there, and you know, you're trying to win the game. It's no different. I don't want to take Pinnock out of the game. I don't want to take Mathis out of the game. I want to keep all those guys in there. When you know, so I think it's just little by little, we just kind of give them a little bit, and Dontavius just every week keeps, you know, making a play and just, you know, kind of let them go. And those guys are going to get more reps as we continue to go. We're going to need them to.
Sticking with you mentioned those corners there, and talked about Mark Pez earlier. Eric Howard, you know, he's listed as a safety here, but I think he was running some nickel for you guys too. I mean that.
He's, you know, Eric Howe can play corner and safety. He's kind of a both. He's a great football player. I'm really excited about him. You know, this weekend he started in our nickel package on third down when we were able to, you know, to get in a true nickel package. We wanted to do that so we could keep Pinnock out there to start with. You know, we know Eric Howe's a great player. We just didn't want to have Pinnock needs to go to corner, so then we got to put a new star in there. We didn't want to get into that with the tempo and have confusion. So that was kind of narrowing it down. I would say this week, you know, JP will probably be back at the star, just because, you know, they tempo. You know, they're a no huddle team, but they kind of go a little slower than what we saw this past weekend. So, you know, we'll kind of get back to what we do, I think. But Eric Howard's a good football player. He played really well in the game. He can play corner, he can play star, he can play safety. We move him around. You could say he might be the third or fourth corner if we could afford to put him in there. We thought it was really important to have him in the safety position last week and play. You know, we wanted to get tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to need a blow. We wanted the best cover guy we could on that number 2 receiver, and that's why we had him in there. We were able to press our slot receiver, you know, a little bit as far as the game plan goes with our field safety.
On that block punt, was there something you saw, or did Aaron just go out and play?
Aaron made a play, but there was something we thought we could get after it, but we do every week. You know, I laugh at Andre Powell, you know, he does a great job with special teams. I think we can really get him this week. I'm like, hey, last week you said we could get him and you didn't get a block. And, you know, you'd like to have one every week, but every week we think we can get one. And every week we're going to have a block and we're going to have a return in of some sort that we try to go after. But, you know, he did a great job making a play, and then Wendell scoop and score. And Aaron Matthews came back, got a nice block to get him in the end zone too.
Did your offensive line take significant strides?
I think, again, yeah, they did. I think we had 3 winning performances on the offensive line, 3 out of 4. I think our inside guys are really good. I'd like to see our tackles be a little bit better, but, winning performance, you know, we won. So, the O-line played well, and again, I think every week we, you know, get a little bit better at that position.
You scared at all when Aaron went airborne there on the first drive?
No, scared. No, you know, he's good, then what I get scared about is the guys after that thinking, let me go jump too, because as a defensive guy, you jump, I'm gonna get you, you know, and you saw the helicopter last week, I mean, you know, you can't do that all the time, so it's you know, you do it, but don't do it all the time.
Yeah, Maurice looked like he wanted to.
You want it, so, because they see it, they go, oh, that was good, and everybody goes, woo! Okay, so then they want to get into ooh, and then sometimes ooh is like, ah, it's not so good. Anything else?